today is our full moon, and so we continue with the lovely 5D Collective's soul, self themes, and love full moon messages. The 5D are people who unconsciously love, they own their thread, their vessel, their heart. Okay, so the thread to your vessel is your heart, was what came through in one of our lovely full moon channel guidance messages, food for thought. The vulnerability in relationships and love is continuing to be on our menu, and that will be next, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. But you are a person who's self-aware, accountable, regulating, so you do understand the very truth of you can't build a truly loving relationship if you can't speak the truth because of fear of rejection, abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, shame, and any of that which is unresolved childhood trauma stuff, trust breaks, but really also the lack of your interest to become a self-regulating, self-attuning, self-soothing human being in your state of safety when dealing with intimacy romantically or relationships not romantically. And that's monoamory and polyamory. Securely attached people are the 5D Collective. Internally, the 0-1-year-old, at least here at IHP. Okay, so you are choosing to be your authentic self. You want to own the vessel and the thread, and your heart is yours because you are your own beloved. Okay, so you have a heart that is open to the truth of you as part of all that is, and that gets to share life with a whole self and soul, or one or the other, in relationships with true love. So you're not perfect, you're imperfect, you're flawed, but you have integrity. You don't have shame. You're emotionally deep because you're emotionally available. So your emotional body's online. And then that is why you will know how to consistently navigate in compassion. So you're a person who leads with compassion, kindness. It's called integration, bilateral, vertical, and you own the sense of self. So you're not a flag in the wind. That's also why you remember that we are all brothers and sisters, dark matter, dark energy. Okay, so with sciences and spirituality, we come together. And those who believe in each other know that anyone can claim their kindness by getting back home to their first 3 years of life, or they can leave it alone. And we have determined, but that we're all miracles because we all are here, and the laws protect us. So we continue to come together with people who know how to speak from their heart and aren't afraid to be their self. Otherwise, you're just fooling yourself and others. And the new moon gave those who are ready to embark a little push, and that's what we got in the full moon again. So you are, at this point, a person who has accepted all your fragments, all your parts, and you do know, if you're an empowered feminine of your own, other astral travel, other dimensions, other planes. As an Akashic record reader, when I began to expand my light body, rainbow body, my lovely different, what was it called? Different planes of travel is what I'm going to use, my own words, were different. Every time there were 3 types of dreams that began, and then at a certain point I consolidated, and then I expanded, and now I continue to expand, and so it's reached, if you will, that infinity of what is in the scientists might call it the quantum plane, quantum field, right? The consciousness, heart consciousness problem, For us, it's just Akash, source, God. It's actually, I like the anima mundi when I describe it to you. Let me grab it in case you're new. It feels like this: the living soul of the world in all its multifaceted, multidimensional layers, bonded together by loving cosmic forces. All that is, you accept all, you reject none. And so there is moving out of the 4D bandwidth. I remember when that happened. And once you're in the beyond the 5D bandwidth, really every year, also thanks to attachment trauma, researchers, physicists, all the information that is being built, we have access to all of it. the empowered, enlightened feminine who is tapped into this anima mundi that I showed you, because there's no part of data or that which is in our consciousness sphere, relational, subconscious, and conscious, that you are confused by or that you reject. But that's because I have a 5D body type, is what I call it. Okay, that's why I'm a channeler and a downloader and a content creator and a food for thought with the full moon stuff and ascension energies for the 5D, because the 5D body type doesn't navigate the plane of infinity and beyond the same way the 4D does. We are okay with change because we are the essence of the jaguar. We don't get destabilized, but also it's because you own your body. So again, you have integration of the brain. Thanks to that, it's vertical, bilateral, all the planes. You have a default mode network that is down regulated, and so you're not scanning yourself and others. I'm not. And when you're in the state of flow, the way the neuroscientists explain it is you get to be in a state of selflessness, timelessness. When effortlessness hits for the 5D person here, I've always known, then there's richness. And richness you'll know. And it's so full moon, new moons, they have a different way for every one of us, but you'll know richness once it's here. Then as you get expanded and completely embody oneness with physical mastery, mental and emotional, and your oneness with Akash, source, universe, God, grace, you'll be in this, in awe and wonder as your breath is taken away by the sacred force that surrounds you and asks for nothing in return, which is why you consistently navigate stress, having the body, aka the restorative embodiment self. And so technical terms, as sciences would present, I'm a consciousness person because I don't do structural dissociation. And that's because of integration. And I have a whole self. So I am able to adapt to change because myself, Maria's self, has a brain and a body. That's why mindfulness practices mindset skills and mindset, the inner growth. Mindset, dealing with the unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds from within with an open heart while going with the flow. Support the people who are motivated to have this. This is where that Zen master doesn't want it. So he doesn't do, let me get over the choo-choo train, the hump, okay? So he's not an empowered, authentic masculine or empowered feminine for that matter. I don't know which one he identifies with, but he doesn't know coherence. His Zen master title serves the people who want to do Zen master the way he does. And here's where coherence for you, heart, mind, optimal capacity to be consistently aware that discernment involves compassion, wisdom, balance, and detachment, and authority, powerful, directed, receptive, wise, and loving. So you have the desire to be yourself. The full moon is once again reminding those who are already at the new moon, it's time to take that leap of faith. Learning to speak your heart is only going to happen if you take a leap and move into it by speaking it with an open heart, with whoever, the caring connection that is lighting your fire. Okay, so you have your own passion, but you also have passion with other. This hidden gem, this intense emotion, it's an amazing emotion, might I add. So if you don't have a lack of this with your twin flame or twin flames, you will know who are the authentic, empowered masculine or masculines that are going to be matching. And in time, you'll notice if they are the real deal or not. And then that's about it. But you don't have a boring and flat line with any lover when you are a at least 5D mystic feminine. As for the other ones, I'm going to leave them out of the picture because they don't seem to know what it means to have the passion and the adolescent essence. We do. So yeah, intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. And then the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to the calm of its core, where we can let its long-lasting wisdom fill us up. So what I have to say to you all is when an empowered feminine meets an empowered masculine, and then they get together, no, don't think of any, so for example, there's a song that I like the song, but the video shows these two people, they're shooting guns, they are fucking on a table, they're in the, it's basically a type of, If you're still into that type of adrenaline, because our adolescent brain goes through a biochemistry 12 to 24, so I can totally understand you're learning how to work with your hormones, and then you get your prefrontal down. Luckily, we have smart therapists who are supporting all the teenagers to get it together. But basically, no, that's not passion. Now that's actively what I'm going to say. Yesterday's news for those who are knowing what true passion is with the use stress, the state of safety body, which are the empowered masculines and feminines that I'm talking about, our 5D collective. So we are, in fact, physically not safe with you men. I think I shared with you all this unfortunate video that I watched where a man is doing this. As he is explaining, men need to choose to date women that they can strangle while basically she needs to know while I'm fucking her or something like that. That's how I'm going to interpret it, because they're basically talking about, yeah, I need to be able to pin her down. Why again? And the man who made the video is a man that is a good man who is pointing out, wow, this is scary as shit because I have daughters and they'll be dating men. And this woman is what I'm scared too. Like, shit, that she didn't even flinch. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's exactly why I will need to wait to see exactly how you behave with the boys, with the girls, and then hear some more about what your ideas are. And then actually, I need to throw some curveballs in there to notice if you do think that it's okay to strangle anybody or hit anybody for that matter. So yeah, long story short, empowered masculines are like this man who are trying to come with us and say, yeah, men are really scary. We need to get them out of that torture chamber, whatever the fuck that is, somehow. And we'll get there in time. Universal love. It's coming. People don't believe it. When they don't know that we are always headed to better places. Okay, so romantic love is not where you touch me in that way. Not at all. I mean, and I know some people support certain things. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the healthy self-worth, empowered 1-year-old that has a 3-year-old that's empowered. And so those first 3 years of life, we got a person who owns that body, and they like a groovy kind of love when I'm feeling blue. Yeah, so that's basically not going to be you, me, and with guns and any of that. You get the drift? Okay, because I know that some people, it's 4D frequency. It's a threat nervous system. That's why it's 4D frequency. It's also 4D fantasy land. It's also a land that doesn't have any interest except for Pinocchio on the island. So again, the difference here is people who are emotionally unavailable because they're afraid of true love, because they don't have their child parts uncharged, will tend to have a lot of that type of unfortunate pseudo-life business, as well as addiction to this fantasy stage. It's something healable and workable with a good therapist, which is why, like I said, we're here, 5D Collective. So empowered feminine, they choose love, vulnerability, and empowered authentic masculines. And when we spot that we might have missed, that's when we're like, okay, really good that they don't text me back. And that's for finding out things eventually. Communication, it might not be direct, but you know what you can't do is hide your true opinions. So luckily for us, sooner or later, the truth of who you are comes forth, because you're going to choose to use words, and I'm going to hear them, and then I'm going to know what I got in town. And so that's why we spot them. They don't know what we spotted, because, we're the empowered ones. And on that note, when you have an empowered masculine, like I said, they're not in any way, shape, or form the ones who are physically dangerous, emotionally unavailable, and therefore mentally unavailable as well. You will have two human beings who know how to talk a talk and walk a walk, because they delight in each other. And that's why they chose love, because they're empowered to be their true self, and they alchemize in their own divine masculine, their own mind, bilaterally integrated and vertically, and all the integrated stuff, and their divine feminine. Okay, so when you have a 5D enlightened, self-empowered feminine, the way that I'm bringing it to you from my subjective spiritual experiences to human experience to mystic to all of it, and the attachment trauma, smart human beings, mindfulness living is easy, so it's spiritually, because you have a whole self. I'm going to be me with flaws, and I'm going to tell you exactly in a most vulnerable way all of it, and it's going to be amazing. That's what is the groovy kind of love. So the empowered authentic masculines are the ones, and those who moved into becoming finally the self-empowered, authentic feminines being shared to me to share to you. Make your move. You're not getting any younger. And that's where some of you are not making the move. And there's repeats of these messages every now and then when it's time to grow a little bit more on the mental, emotional, and physical plane, and to take a leap of faith. So the leap of faith is a conversation, an honest one, but it's also a conversation that you will bring forth in the months to come. So let's say that there isn't romance or passion or any of that on the table. There's still a you being able to have an open-hearted, vulnerable conversation with other that will create and strengthen your bond, even though I'm being called very much to romance. But in case there isn't romance on your table, then it's about you being able to be truly vulnerable with at least one secure connection. If you choose a therapist, then the therapist it may be. But that's the part of where it's you healing the self more and allowing you to be seen, your child parts, the parts of you that are afraid to be rejected still because there's rejection that happened. I don't know about fear of rejection. Again, I have no parts of Maria that are rejected because I have unconditional love for myself with flaws and imperfections. So I don't personally know that fear. It's also why it's always fun to say yes to a leap of faith with the ones who have resonated with my open heart. And that's the part of why a feminine, she chooses love and vulnerability and the assumed empowered authentic masculine that is brought forth to her. Once it's assumed, it means it's not an authentic empowered masculine, it's just a masculine, and then there's a recalibration. As for distorted feminine, same thing goes. It's in time that we build secure attachment relationships, but for a secure attachment figure, that's a different story. So secure attachment figure is where you're going to be in a relationship with vulnerability and love as a feminine and masculine that come together, and we'll continue that one in our next episode. So again, full moon bringing lots of beautiful moments. Some of you might be a little bit like, ooh, go, 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 have a good time. And remember, if there is rejection, it's not protection, please. You will be able to have a plan in place. You want to plan how you're going to go and have a good time with your good friends. You want to cry it out, you cry it out, but do the one thing that is, I got an opportunity to not look to yesterday and think I regret because I never ever spoke up about my true feelings with a person. And that is the worst. And that's because, believe me, I don't know it because I don't have fear of that. So I'll close on out with this. When I had a hint of, okay, do I really want to do this? I said, what are you doing? It took me less than 5 seconds to be like, yeah, of course. What's the worst thing that can happen? What? Nothing. So that's it. And I did it. And I was so happy that I did. And in fact, I, to this day, will say there's no regrets when you are an enlightened, self-empowered feminine in the 5D mystic spirituality, functional adult experience. 44 I am. And those who think I'm traumatized, they don't know my body. I do. And they just think that crying is something traumatizing. And remember, traumatizing is independent of what people think. It's your nervous system that will tell you. And you will know because you will be at a therapist seat if you know that you have a challenge with depth of emotions, because all of those who have been to therapy know that their emotional body, something's off because they're afraid to tap into the depths of those emotions. That means their brain is saying, yeah, we don't know if we can handle this. And the ones who ignore it, well, we again leave that to determined, as he points out, and the laws. So we'll be back again in a little bit. Thanks for stopping by.